Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. So today we're walking in front of this big, beautiful convent in the middle of town. Just experiencing a lot of the different history and culture of the area, and it brought up some thoughts about culture because I think that as we travel on this journey, I think that you get to a point where you start to see past what I would call the facade of life. And what do I mean by the facade of life? Well, let me tell you what I mean. I mean the facade of life being the aspects of cultures and different cultures and what they bring and the value that they bring to one's life. To give you an example of what I mean by this, as I've traveled the world, there are certain aspects of, we'll have a seat right here on the stairs. There are certain aspects of life that you begin to embrace and others that you begin to reject. What I mean by that is, having existed in the culture in the United States for many years, there are many aspects about the States and the culture in the States that are incredible. However, there are also many aspects, like every other culture, that after you exist in it a while, you kind of start to see through and see the fallacies in the culture, see the things in those cultures that really no longer have value. And so as I've gone on this spiritual journey and had this awakening, for me, what I've chosen to do is I've chosen to accept what I would consider enjoyable or pleasant or good aspects of the culture that I grew up in, and then to reject the others, while also simultaneously, as I travel the world and I start to experience these different cultures across the world, I have chosen in some ways to embrace some of those aspects of those cultures into my own life. Now, that brings up for many people the term cultural appropriation. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about that term. You see, culture is created through society, community over time and history. A lot of times, a lot of things that we grasp to from a cultural perspective are things that were they are things that were created by dead people that we still continue to abide by. Sometimes those things were in order to help teach us to grow and understand the environment that we grew up in, and some of them were to help guide us through life, but also there are many of them that, quite frankly, over time have become obsolete. Yet, instead of embracing the deep and rich culture that one might have and then rejecting things that no longer serve or have validity, the ego likes to attach and latch on to all things. You see, this comes through in almost every aspect of life when you consider it. There's a belief system in almost that, like with all things, with political systems and religious beliefs and such, that there's a general trend to think, well, I'm going to identify with one area, one system, and that system's not perfect, but it's good enough. But I've always thought to myself, why does something have to just be good enough? You see, that's the equivalent of getting into a relationship with someone, and there are aspects of the relationship that are unsatisfactory for both partners, and even in some cases those partners can agree on the aspects of the relationship that are unsatisfactory. Yet instead of saying, hey, we have a great relationship but these things are unsatisfactory, let's get together, sit down and repair or replace some of these aspects that that are not of value. They just leave it the way it is and accept it. A perfect example is government systems. When you're in a government system and it's a good system but there are clear failures in it, I've never understood why there isn't a discussion to try to help to make that system better. Why we just have to accept the status quo. And this is much similar to what we're talking about with culture, because you see, when you start talking about wanting to integrate with culture of another country or a group of people, and you choose to embody or accept some of those cultural norms or beliefs, a lot of people want to raise their hand and cry foul. They say, well, you're not from that culture, so you don't have a right. But at the end of the day, you see, when you understand that everyone on this planet is one, that we all have more commonality than we do difference, and that based on certain cultural beliefs, and sometimes these are based on locations and groups of people, that there is wisdom in a lot of the cultural understandings. Just because there are aspects that are maybe outdated and can be rejected, but overall there's wisdom in some of these traditions, you see. And at the end of the day, when you start talking about these traditions, if you choose to embody a cultural belief system of a group of people, and you do that with honor, and you do that with respect, you do that with the gratitude that it brings to your life and the happiness that it shows you, then what is the problem with doing that? You see, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to say, well, you're not of that culture, you don't have that right. And I'm going to respond and say, culture was made by people. And if we all have the same shared history, even though it varies, we're all one. And so if your ancestors came up with an amazing understanding about life and an understanding or belief system, then wouldn't that honor the heritage by embracing that? Wouldn't that honor the heritage by accepting and carrying that tradition on? You see, we get way too much into the ego of things, rather than to try to understand the beauty of the world around us. You see, if more people could experience different cultures and embrace some of those cultural perspectives and differences and choose to honor those things, wouldn't that at the end bring us all closer together? You see, when it comes down to society and tradition and culture, the things that keep us separate are the things that we choose to create as differentiators. Yet there are so many things that unite us. There are so many things that create connection. There are so many things that create and embody love and empathy and compassion. And if you understand that those things exist, and you understand that those things are uniters, then what would be the purpose of dividing? Or what would be the purpose of trying to keep people separate? What would be the purpose of judging how one chooses to live their life? You see, when I talk to you about the term cultural appropriation, I'll be completely honest with you, I really don't give a shit what other people think. You see, because I've chosen to live my life in a way that honors me and honors the heritage and the people and the experiences that I've had around me. And because I've chosen that, I have been given I've given myself the authority to say, this is what brings out the best version of me. And if I can be the best version of me, and I can show up to a world that really needs more people to show the best version of themselves, then why would I look at how I choose to embody myself and carry myself in a different manner? You answered it, I wouldn't. So, that being said, I'm going to continue to move my way through this historic downtown, even though it's about ready to get me a little bit wet, and I'm going to continue to experience all the beauty that this location has to offer me. And as I see things, different foods, different dress, traditions, history. I'm going to choose to learn about those things. And the things that resonate with me, I'm going to choose to embrace those things. But what say you? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like things such as, culture should be embraced by all? Do you think that we're honoring other cultures when we choose to accept and take on different aspects of culture and embody them in ourselves? I'm curious. As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm truly grateful. Until I talk to you again, peace, love, light. I hope you have the most amazing day.